Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Affirmation Addict podcast. My name is Pyle, and today I am recording an episode where I took a poll on my Instagram. I asked you guys, what would you like me to talk about on the podcast? And word for word, this is something that I would say at least 45 to 50 people requested in the same exact language, which actually blew my mind. And basically, the question is, how do you move through heavy energy? Those key words, heavy energy. What do you do with heavy energy? How do you deal with heavy energy? How do you let go of heavy energy while you are manifesting? And that's what today's episode is all about, is what to do with that heavy energy. And I honestly haven't planned anything for this episode, so we will see where it takes us. I think that's when I do my best. And I just want to talk about what to do, how to move through that heavy energy while you're manifesting. And first things first, let me just get this clear. Heavy energy is so normal when you're manifesting. You're not doing anything wrong. You are never going to get rid of heavy energy. So I just want you to get that out of your head. I think a lot of people think that, like, to be spiritual or to be a proper manifester, you can never feel heavy energy. That is so contradictory to you and your human experience. Like, you have been given the ability to feel the entire full range of human emotions, the entire range of energy for a reason. So heavy energy can be such a gift. It can be such a learning curve, even though it sucks when we're in it. It can be so helpful. So I just want you to really, really just take a second. Please listen to me again. Heavy energy is so normal when you're manifesting. You're not doing anything wrong. You're not messing up. You're not pushing your manifestations further. You are just being human. And with the right tools, you can transmute that energy. You can work with the energy. You can use that energy to learn from it. But don't put so much pressure when you experience heavy energy and just start creating all these stories where it's like, oh, now my manifestation can't come, or I'm doing this wrong. That is such an unfair thing for you to do to yourself. And I just want to say, with all my love, it is safe for you to feel heavy energy. And I will be honest with you, you are probably going to feel it multiple times throughout your life. If not multiple times throughout your day. Honestly, that is where I'm at sometimes. So don't be afraid of heavy energy. Heavy energy just means it's something that we don't like as much, but heavy energy is just energy. Energy can be transmuted. Energy is always in motion. Energy cannot be created or destroyed, I think it is. So all energy is, it's just there. It's just to be transmuted. It's just to be manipulated. It's just to be shifted. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So please don't be hard on yourself if you're feeling heavy energy. Even if you've only ever experienced heavy energy your entire life, you're fine. You can still manifest. You are not doing anything wrong and you're not setting yourself back. We literally can work with this. That's kind of the point of all of this. So, for me, the biggest thing I think that helped me learn what to do and how to handle heavy emotions, I think our first kind of instinct is to release, right? We always say, let me just let go. Let me just surrender. Let me let go. I agree. Like, that is awesome in theory. But for people who, for us, right? Like, not people, for all of us in society, in an operating normal society, it is very hard to just let things go. Patterns come up. Our brains are moving so fast. Our brains are so different than they were even 100 years ago because of how fast we move, the amount of notifications we have. Like, we are very, very different humans. And it isn't as hard for us to let go because we have so many ways of storing memory. We have so many ways of repeating and revisiting history, right? We can look at our photos. We can look back at our journal entries. You can look on Twitter to see what the world was like last year. Like, there's so many things that you can do to recalibrate and revisit a memory that maybe a long time ago it was easier to let go because we weren't always revisiting and resharing things that happened years ago. Now, with the way our world works, like, the past doesn't feel that far away, right? Like, think about COVID. It doesn't feel that far away. Like, for me, the fact that it's been 5 years next year is crazy. And the only reason I know that at the top of my head is because me and Tom got married right before COVID. Like, our wedding was literally the week before COVID hit the entire world. So that's crazy to me that it's been 5 years. I don't feel like I've been married for 5 years. I feel like I'm married for 2 weeks. So giving yourself the permission to, instead of trying to release it, really going back to that theory that energy cannot be created or destroyed. My invitation to you is, instead of trying to let go and get rid of it, trying to throw it out of you, because I think that's a heavier, scarier task, because if there's any ounce of it left, we feel like we've failed. My invitation is let's try to transmute it. That is my favorite word right now. I think it's such a beautiful way to look at life is transmutation, right? You can shift it. You're not getting rid of something, you're not adding anything new, you're just changing. You're just kind of being the alchemist. You are being the little um girl in the science lab who's just shifting the energy, working with all her emotions, creating a new concoction because you want to shift it, right? Like, I think that is such a beautiful and empowering way to look at it because I think it can feel very defeating to try and release, surrender, and let go of a very heavy emotion right off the bat. I think transmutation is one, more accurate. And two, I think it's actually more fun to play with. It feels like we actually have some control over it rather than when I think of me getting rid of emotions, it makes me feel like I can't handle them. Versus this is like, no, I have power over you. I just don't want you right now. So, when you think about transmuting, how do you transmute? Like, what are you supposed to do? How do you actually get rid? Actually, wrong, not get rid. How do you actually shift from a heavy emotion? I know this is not the fun answer, but really the first thing to do when you're trying to sit with a when you're trying to release and transmute a heavy emotion is you sit with it. Why? Because you need to know what it is before you can shift it. If you don't understand it, if you don't know what it feels like or where it is in your body, you can't actually do anything with it. So the first thing to do is recognize. You don't have to feel your feelings all the way through. I know that can be really scary and not fun to do, but just recognize, just acknowledge its existence, maybe put a label on it, try and call it what the emotion is. And then from that place, the transmutation piece is honestly as simple as what would I rather feel? What are the stories I would rather be telling myself? Because feelings, emotions in the body, energy in the body, it only can last 90 seconds. Normally, that energy comes in when we're triggered. When we're triggered through just the sunlight, we get a happy emotion. When we're triggered by rain, sometimes we get a sleepy emotion. When we're triggered by a family member making a mean comment about us, all of these triggers from our external world, they send like a wave of energy through us for about 90 seconds. That's your emotions. So, thinking about it, that you can just transmute it or you can sit with it for those 90 seconds. Just give yourself 90 seconds, sit with it, and then say, what would I like to feel? How would I like to move forward? Do I want to keep sitting with this or do I want to shift it? Because after those 90 seconds, when you're feeling a heavy energy, you're actually creating it. You're not, the heavy energy isn't just like sitting and doing its thing. You're actually repeating a story in your mind or in your subconscious mind that is holding the heavy energy there. I hope that's making sense. But like when you experience an emotion, it's only there for 90 seconds. After that, whatever perpetuates, whatever longer it stays, whether that is anxiety, whether that is fear, whatever it is, after those 90 seconds, it is 99% you just repeating the story in your mind. And I don't say that to kind of insult you. I say this from experience. I've someone who deals with anxiety and I've almost completely healed it now where when anxiety would get triggered, I would do everything in my power to just let go of it. Like, how do I just have it gone? But when I started just being like, this is 90 seconds, let me just give myself 90 seconds. And after those 90 seconds, let me choose. That was me transmuting and it worked magic. So this works for all the heavy emotions, whether it is doubt, whether it's fear of some success or fear of failure, whether it is anxiety, whether it is stress, whether it's just you feel like you don't have any capacity, like lack of self-worth, whatever that heavy energy is, when you notice the heavy energy, the moment you're like, wow, I'm feeling heavy right now, sit with it. Just sit with it for those 90 seconds. And after that 90 seconds, then you can start to put on your observer classes. You can be like, okay, what story am I telling myself? What story do I have attached to this heavy emotion? And do I want to keep telling myself the story? And if you don't want to keep telling yourself the story, which most of us probably don't want to, what you can do is you can say, what's the story I want to tell myself? And that's the way that key question, the key opportunity, and presenting yourself with the opportunity to choose the story is how you can actually start to transmute. So I'm going to come up with a couple examples and we'll just talk through it together. The first one I'm going to think of is around money. I feel like that is something so many people around me have been struggling with. So, is that stress of finances, right? Like anxiety of can I pay my bills or where is that next paycheck going to come from? Or what if I don't make enough money? What if I lose all my money? That is me even just saying all those things really drop my energy. So I'm going to do this live with you. So I'm going to sit with that energy, not for 90 seconds, but I already feel it. So I'm feeling that heaviness. And it's like, what is the story? The story that's coming to mind is that there is not enough money. I hate that story. That is such a disempowering thought. It does not make me feel good. So the new story I want to tell myself is there is more than enough money. Money can come to me really easily, and money can come to me from unexpected places, and I can be blown away by the universe providing me with the unlimited source of money. That is the new story I'm going to tell myself. And immediately, that heavy energy, it hasn't gone away completely, but it feels kind of midway. It feels neutral. So now you've just shifted from heavy energy to neutral energy. You can do it again. Think about the neutral energy. If you're feeling neutral around money, okay, I'm feeling neutral. Now, if I want to go even higher, what is the story I'm telling myself that's making me feel neutral about money? The story I'm telling myself is like, okay, I understand that money logically is a unlimited source, but I actually don't feel like I see any evidence of that. And it's making me hard to believe that I can actually experience that money. That's really what I'm feeling. So next, I'm going to say, what's the new story, right? This is our transmutation piece. What's the new story I want to tell myself? The new story I want to tell myself is no, there is evidence. Think about just this challenge you talked about where you doubled your goal of serving people. Think about the times where you've received random checks in the mail. Think about the stories you've heard. Think about all of the abundance you have and all of the freedoms and free time that you have. Think about all that. Sorry, I don't know why I said freedom so weird. I was thinking, I hope that wasn't too distracting. But think about all of that. And that's another way. And now all of a sudden, I feel that perkiness. I feel that lightness of energy. So that's kind of how you can talk yourself through it. And that took what? Less than 2 minutes. And you can sit and transmute energy so quickly. It's a very, very helpful exercise you can do for yourself. And the more you do it, the better you'll get at it. And the more you do it, the more natural it'll feel for you. Another example, we'll do one more example together. Let's talk about what's a big one? Let's do like lack of self-worth. I was gonna do relationships, but I feel like I'm talking about relationships a lot. So let's do like lack of self-worth. When you just feel like I just feel like I suck. Like I feel like I'm behind in life. I feel like I'm not where I want to be. And you're really, really doubting yourself. What does that energy feel like? We're gonna sit with that energy. And what's the story? The story that's coming up for me right now is I feel like I'm a failure because I'm putting in all this work and I'm not seeing the results. So I feel like nothing I do is ever going to work. That literally can bring tears to my eyes right now because that is such a sad story. And that's the meaning I'm assigning to that feeling of like, oh, I just feel like I'm not good enough. And that's a very sad kind of place to be in. It's a very heavy, unmotivated place. And the story I'm telling myself is like, it's not worth showing up. It's not worth doing my practice. It's not worth me staying consistent. It's not worth me putting in the work because it's not going to work anyways, right? And it's a sad truth that sometimes I feel that way. And I'm sure I'm not the only one. So, how do you transmute it? What's a new story we can tell ourselves is, well, what if just one more day and that's the day everything turns around? Kind of similar to last week's episode. What if the new story I can tell myself is maybe I am good enough and my actions don't necessarily directly correlate to what I receive, but that doesn't mean my actions can't help me shift energy. And if I do my actions with love, with just excitement, with for the love of the actions, maybe I will actually see a ripple effect. What if I am good enough just as I am and my only job is to show up as my best self? And what does my best self look like? My best self looks like someone who follows through with what she says she's going to do. My best self looks like someone who knows that she is here, she is alive and breathing for a purpose, and she is here to allow herself to express that purpose. That feels so good. That is a beautiful story I can tell myself. And allowing yourself, I don't even feel neutral. I feel up here with that one. And giving yourself permission to just explore these types of stories, these types of affirmations you can tell yourself, and just let yourself go through these different thought patterns. So, that is how you can move through heavy energy. Don't focus on releasing it. Don't focus on letting it go. Don't focus on having it get rid of you or getting rid of it in your body. Let yourself just move with it. Remember, energy cannot be created or destroyed, it can only be shifted. So that's what we're here to do. We're here to shift that energy. So try playing with this transmutation technique. I think it's so fun. If you need more help with it, I have more tools in my app that are more like guided towards different emotions. Like you can do specific affirmations for anger. You can do specific visualizations for fear. Like you can go very particular. You can do tapping. Like I have all of these tools in my app if you want, like, if you need a little bit more support, if you're finding it hard to create a new story, I have affirmations in there that you can use as a starting point and then create your own affirmations. So we have lots of different tools in there that you can use. But if you feel like you can do this on your own, try it without the tools and then lean on those tools if you need more support later. So I hope this is a helpful episode. I hope you can actually move through the heavy energy and have fun with the kind of process of transmutation. Think of yourself like an alchemist rather than someone who can't handle the emotions. Think of it as you are someone who can handle the emotion and you can create it and change it to exactly what you want it to be. So I hope this is helpful and let me know if you try this out and how it works for you. Thanks for being here and I will see you next week. Bye.